I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. At Thursday's Senate Energy Committee hearing, Senator Elizabeth Warren questioned Department of Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm. Warren asked Granholm specifically about the number of crypto miners in the United States. The Massachusetts senator spoke about the massive amount of electricity used to mine Bitcoin and pushed for the Energy Secretary to track this information. Take a listen to their exchange here.
Around Senator Warren has arrived. Are you ready, Senator Warren?
Always ready. Thank you. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. The cryptocurrency market has exploded over the last few years, driven by the popularity of Bitcoin, which amounts for about 40% of the entire crypto market. Bitcoin's network is secured through a proof-of-work algorithm, which involves miners using powerful computers to guess a random string of numbers in order to verify transactions and win a Bitcoin reward. The computational work required is deliberately inefficient, and it requires increasing amounts of energy consumption as more miners compete. Now, today, Bitcoin consumes more electricity than countries like Sweden and Pakistan. That's a country with more than 220 million people. In fact, a single Bitcoin transaction uses the same amount of power as the average U.S. household uses in 72 days. And a single large crypto mining facility, typically a warehouse filled with rows and rows of servers, can consume as much energy as 250,000 houses in the same period of time. So, Secretary Granholm, one of your key responsibilities is to address energy challenges facing our country. Does the federal government currently know how many crypto miners are operating in the United States and how much energy they're consuming?
No, the DOE does not explicitly track electricity consumption associated with cryptocurrency operations, and I'd love to work with you on making sure that this happens.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I'm really concerned if we're not tracking this information, because the one thing we do know is that more and more Bitcoin mining operations are moving offshore. Between 2019 and 2021, the United States share of global mining increased from 4% to 35%, meaning that over a third of the global computing power dedicated to Bitcoin mining is now drawn from computers in the United States that are spitting out random numbers around the clock. Mining is increasing emissions from coal and natural gas generation, especially when miners bring old polluting fossil fuel plants around the country online. It also is driving up electricity prices for consumers and small businesses in those same communities. And that's why I've written to several of the largest crypto miners in the United States, asking them for information about the environmental impacts of their operations. But I think that our agencies can do more here as well. So, Secretary Granholm, I know that you're working with other agencies on a report on crypto's climate impact as part of the President's executive order on digital assets. Do you think it would be valuable if we had additional information about the impact of cryptocurrencies on our environment and on our energy grid?
Absolutely.
You want to elaborate on that?
I mean, it is critical to understand the strains upon the grid, especially as we, as we face increased use of the grid for other purposes. I mean, the bipartisan infrastructure law gave us funding to be able to expand the capacity of the grid, but the projections of the expansion of the capacity of the grid that most modelers use have not taken into full account the huge energy suck that cryptocurrency represents. And so while we add electric vehicles to the grid, for example, we've also got to take a look at these other uses because that will require significant additional resources to be able to respond to if we don't do something else.
Thank you. Addressing crypto's risks is not just a job for financial regulators. It is a job for climate regulators as well. Crypto mining could undermine our progress to fight climate change, and I look forward to working with you to keep that from happening. Before I close, I'd just like to turn to you very quickly, Ms. Ruby. We've gone over this in previous hearings, but I want to reiterate to my colleagues that I remain deeply concerned about our pit production plans. Many of these problems, I know, predate your tenure, but let's be clear here. NNSA doesn't know how much this program will cost. The costs we do know about have doubled in a matter of months, and now your office is already asking for $500 million more than the budget request, even though the Nuclear Weapons Council has said it will not bring us any closer to reaching our production goals by 2030. NNSA has had a terrible record of mismanagement, and it seems too likely that this will be another case study in wasting billions of dollars in taxpayer money. So I'm out of time, but I just want to register that concern. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Warren. Senator Tuberville, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here today. Secretary Grant.